I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Currents. As the two parties battle it out for the White House, we'll look at how faith may play into the election. Plus, a new season of Faith Film Festival is coming. We'll talk with one of the show's new hosts.
You watch Faith Film Festival, you're not going to be disappointed. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
And sit down with a man who's earned his place in Mets history.
It's kind of incredible over the course of 50 years with so many successful pitchers we've had through New York that it's never happened. To be a part of the first one, it's something I won't ever forget. It's a great memory.
Good evening, happy Labor Day, and thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully you have enjoyed a nice day off with family and friends. Tomorrow, it's back to work, back to school for students, and also back to the political grind. It's the Democrats' turn as they make the case for 4 more years of President Obama, after the Republicans last week made the case to vote him out of office. And as faith plays an important part of the life of this country, the face of President Obama and Mitt Romney may play a part in the outcome of the election. The Pew Forum for Religion and Public Life recently took the pulse of voters to see how they view the faith of the two candidates. For more, I spoke with Pew Forum senior researcher Carrie Funk. Carrie, it would appear overall, looking at the data, that concerns about the candidates' respective faiths are not really a priority for voters.
Yeah, what's really interesting about candidate religion this year is that we have a Mormon presidential candidate for the first time ever on a major party ticket. And in terms of President Obama, while a Protestant, he encounters a sizable minority of voters who misperceive his faith, making the role of religion and voter judgment a little more complex. Of course, when we look further, we're seeing that partisans tend to support their party candidate, and there's not a lot of movement between those two.
And I want to make it clear still, it's not to suggest this survey or anything in the survey that most voters are not placing importance on religious beliefs of a president. I mean, it is still a significant criterion when voters are actually vetting their candidate. Do you agree?
Sure. What's interesting is we find 2/3 of registered voters in the U.S. saying that having a president with strong religious beliefs is important to them. And in fact, Pew Research Center surveys going back to 2000 have found similar portions of the public saying this. So back in 2000 and 2004, 7 in 10 voters said that having a president with strong beliefs, religious beliefs, is important to them. So that has long been a criterion, and it seems, and people say it's important.
Let's dig a little deeper into the numbers. Data shows that Romney's Mormon faith is not lost on the majority. There's 60%, they know he is Mormon, and that hasn't even changed since the last time you took a poll during the GOP primaries. Why do you think this is important?
Right. Well, as you know, about 1% of the general public are Mormons, so it's not a particularly well-known religion. And we haven't had a presidential candidate from a major party ticket as a Mormon in the past, so we're interested in whether or not it makes a difference. So if you look at those who are aware of Romney's Mormon faith, we find that a majority say that they're comfortable with his religion, and another 2 in 10 say that that religion doesn't matter to them one way or another. But that leaves about 2 in 10 saying they're uncomfortable with his faith.
And
white evangelical, I was just going to say, I mean, who's more uncomfortable? White evangelical Protestants tend to be more likely than other religious groups to say they're uncomfortable with Romney's faith. But most white evangelicals who are aware that Romney's a Mormon say they're comfortable with his faith.
And that, again, that seems to be part of a consensus, too. And Carrie, I want to definitely keep this balanced. What does research say about how voters are reacting to President Obama's faith?
Sure. Views of President Obama's religion are quite different. About half of registered voters correctly identify him as a Christian. 3 in 10 are unsure of his faith, and 17% falsely identify him as a Muslim. That figure has gone up a little bit since 2008 with the growth in people falsely identifying him as a Muslim being most pronounced among conservative Republicans. Now, what's important there is that when it comes to comfort with Obama's faith, voters who know that Obama is a Christian are overwhelmingly comfortable with his faith. About 8 in 10 are comfortable, while a majority of those who say he's a Muslim are uncomfortable.
And Pew Forum on Religion and Public Life, always doing this research, always gathering data. I'm interested to know, are you in the process of collecting information now to determine the effect of adding Paul Ryan to the ticket and how that may affect Romney's appeal ahead of the election?
Yeah, I mean, this is what's interesting about the vice presidential candidates is that both are Catholic. And of course, what's difficult to tease apart is that when you vote on election day, you're voting for a ticket, not for president separately from vice president. So it's sometimes hard to pull apart the effect of one person versus another.
You know, a separate Pew Research released about a month ago found that voters have very little interest in learning more about Romney's religious beliefs. Now, in your experience conducting this research, have you ever found that opinions like the ones that you highlighted, in this case Mitt Romney's or even President Obama's faith, change radically the closer we get to Election Day?
I mean, what happens is, one of the reasons why we're constantly conducting polls is that we're always aware there's potential for change over the course of the election. And in fact, historically, one of the big mistakes of the polling world is when they stop polling too soon ahead of the time. And so we're always sensitive to the possibility that real changes in the campaign will change people's attitudes and feelings towards the candidates.
All right, Carrie, we're going to have to leave it there. As we know, with opinions and elections, so much is subject to change and anything can happen. So we shall see in November. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
And stay with Currents all this week for news from the Democratic National Convention. Don't go anywhere. There's more Currents ahead. He's got a familiar face, and he is one of the new hosts of NET's Faith Film Festival. We sit down with him. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Liz Faublas. During this long holiday weekend, people like to take time out to relax. Many will head to the beach on what is considered the unofficial end to summer. It's also a great chance to head out to the movies, but you don't have to go very far to catch some great films. You can keep it here on NET for a new season of Faith Film Festival this fall. And this season we have two new hosts, Marissa Harba and Joe Estevez. And if Joe's name sounds familiar, it probably should. He's the brother of actor Martin Sheen and an actor in his own right. He recently sat down with our Amanda Malewski.
Joe,
Amanda.
thanks for being here. How do you like our great city of Brooklyn?
I love Brooklyn. It's one of my most favorite places in all of New York. This and in the Queens.
Oh, fantastic.
Great neighborhoods.
Great.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, you have a new book out.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's Joe Estevez wiping off the Sheen for obvious reasons. You know, my brother Martin Sheen is also an actor, and it was kind of my story of getting out from underneath that shadow and establishing a identity of my own.
Because you yourself are an actor as well and a producer, director.
Absolutely, mainly an actor. I've directed a couple of movies and produced 5 or 6, and you know I write, but basically I'm an actor. Yeah, I've done 234 movies, and
It's a lot.
Still counting. Yeah, so I like to keep myself busy. Sure.
That's fantastic. So you actually, aside from having this new book out, you were telling me a little bit about not just your acting career, but about your spirituality, your Catholic faith, and how that affects your career. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, you know, I've learned through my life that I was, early on in my career, I was I don't want to say desperate, but I was very fearful of where my next job was going to come from, where my next paycheck is going to come from. I mean, being a professional actor, you know, you're always laid off. You know, you're always, even the most prominent actors are unemployed 6 months of the year. You know, so you're always waiting for that next job. But you know, through I think prayer and meditation and wisdom and life, I've learned to stop praying with my hands out and start praying with my hands up. And I realized that it's all taken care of. To live in the now. I was saying driving over here, the only thing that lasts for an eternity is now. You know, the past is the past, the future is unknowable, but what you have is the now. And I practice and I pray to stay in this moment. Yeah.
Did you grow up Catholic? Was your family particularly spiritual, religious, and did you have that Catholic school upbringing that helped form you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my father's in Spain. My mother was from Ireland. Both devout Catholics. We grew up saying the Rosary after dinner every night, and during Lent we said it, the three rosaries. My mother passed away when I was very young, when I was 5, but still I was very fortified. I was fortified as to be able to fall back on my faith and to fall back on that incredible Irish love of my mother.
How has your faith shifted the way that you approach new creative projects, new films, new writing?
I used to pray that that God would give me work, and God answered my prayers. God always gave me work. But in the last 14, 15 years, I started praying that God, please give me work that will make a difference for the good, that at the very least will do no harm. I think as an actor, especially, I'm a very fortunate, very blessed to be working as much as I do, and that I don't think we actors in general realize how much influence we as people and the interviews that we do and the characters that we portray on screen, how much influence they have on on the world, and especially the younger generation. That there's a lot of people in this world that they see films and they think it as fact, you know. But of course that's not true. But still, you know, whatever comes out of your mouth, you know, you got to be very careful. If I'm here in New York. We're Marissa and I are hosting the Faith Film Festival, and one of the ladies in there, La Mama, who is lives in the Tijuana prison system for 30-some years, living with the prisoners, living with rapists and murderers and evil people. And she said, God loves them all. But she said, you know, the worst sin that we can do is gossip, is speak ill of people. And when I watched that film, it took me back, you know. And I said, wow, what blessings we can give with our words, and at the same time, what damages, you know? And as an actor, wow, I just need to be vigilant on that. I can't talk off the cuff, you know, so anyway.
We have a great responsibility.
Yes.
Can you tell us just in a few words, what is the Faith Film Festival and what can we expect?
These are films of faith and hope and of celebration from all over the world. And we take the best of the best, and we are introducing them on the network. We're doing a couple of 3 films every week so that the public can look at these films and celebrate with them and laugh with us and be inspired with us and celebrate with us, because they're really, they're quite marvelous. I mean, the films are just terrific. I was amazed at how good they are.
Well, we thank you so much for being here, Joe. And what can you tell our viewers about tuning in for?
You watch NET, you watch Faith Film Festival, you're not going to be disappointed. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
Joe Estevez, one of the new hosts of Faith Film Festival with our Amanda Malevsky. Stay tuned, there's more currents ahead. Coming up, Catholic media hits the links for a good cause.
Proceeds from today's golf outing are going to be given to the Diocesan Immigration Migration Services. We chose them because of the importance of having the immigrants coming to America treated in a fair way and to be able to assimilate into American life.
Welcome back. It may be back to school for students and back to work for parents, but there's still time for play. Recently, our station, NET, and the diocese newspaper, The Tablet, had a chance to hit the links for the Bishop's Golf Classic. And though it was a day of fun, the money raised went to a good cause. Our Jim Mancari was there.
The DeSales Media Group hosted its 17th annual Bishop's Golf Classic August 9th at the North Hills Country Club in Manhasset, Long Island. 120 golfers hit the links to support the Diocese of Brooklyn's Catholic Migration Services.
We've had a great day with golf. Thank God for the weather. It's been outstanding. And we had a great shotgun start at 11 o'clock. Everybody moved well. I think everybody had a great time. The proceeds from today's golf outing are going to be given to the Diocesan Immigration Migration Services. We chose them because of the importance of having the immigrants coming to America treated in a fair way and to be able to assimilate into American life. And the Migration Services offices of the diocese have been doing an outstanding job.
The money that's given to us this evening is going to be divided between our 4 major programs: our immigration legal services, our housing immigration legal services, and our employment immigration legal services, as well as our pastoral program, which deals with all the apostolates, all the language masters of the diocese, and really the bishop's endeavor to really welcome all the many different cultures in Brooklyn and Queens.
This influx of donation will really be very helpful to them. Again, thank God the DeSales Media Group doesn't need all of the income, but they're able to help others. It's a tradition. The Tablet was able to help many people in their Bright Christmas Fund. So this is just following the tradition that our media outlets are actually works of charity at the same time.
It brings people in. It helps people understand what goes behind the scenes in putting out media, both print media and video media.
This year's honorees included Monsignor Martin Garrity, the current pastor of St. Robert Bellarmine Parish in Bayside, and the DeSales Media Board of Directors.
There are so many wonderful pastors in the diocese that there's no such thing as Pastor of the Year. Everybody's woven into the fabric of the diocese. We're all involved in welcoming the stranger and being part of the reaching out to others.
A handful of special guests, including current Mets outfielder and Whitestone native Mike Baxter, and former Brooklyn Dodgers catcher and original 1962 Met Joe Pignatano, took part in the festivities.
Oh, it's just great to come to an event like this. You know, it really hits home with me playing CYO sports as a kid and getting a chance to come out and just hang out with people from the neighborhood. It's great to meet everybody. The Tablet, I grew up reading it at church, and that's something that you don't forget those kinds of things when you're a kid and you grow up. And having a chance to come back around and actually meet the people behind it.
The Bishop's Golf Classic was once again a great success. DeSales would like to thank the more than 75 tournament sponsors for making the day possible. For Currents, I'm Jim Mancari.
Stay tuned, there's more Currents ahead. When we return, reason to cheer this season for Mets fans, a man who's playing for his hometown team.
I'm grateful the Mets are giving me another chance in the major leagues with them, and that's all I can ask for. So I'm just going to try to go out and help the team win.
Finally tonight, September is not only back to school time and a time that the temperatures begin their steady descent, it's also a time when things heat up on the baseball diamond as teams enter the final stretch with the hopes of making it to the postseason. Unfortunately, one of our New York teams is in no such position. Mets fans don't have much to cheer for this season, but there have been some bright spots. The brightest being Johan Santana tossing the first no-hitter in the franchise's 51-year history. And Santana had an assist in the 7th inning from a local boy. Outfielder Mike Baxter made an amazing running catch before slamming into the left field wall. Baxter, a graduate of Archbishop Molloy High School who grew up in Whitestone in the shadow of Shea Stadium, was taken out of the game, but the hometown hero cemented his place in Mets history. At the Bishop's Golf Classic, Baxter sat down with our Jim Mancari to talk about his amazing catch.
We're here at the North Hills Country Club in Manhasset, Long Island, and I'm joined today by New York Mets outfielder Mike Baxter. Mike's, of course, also a product of Archbishop Molloy High School in Briarwood, and a local CYO product of St. Luke's in Whitestone. He was a star back in the day there. So Mike was gracious enough to join us after playing a day game today at Citi Field. The Mets actually won 6-1, and Mike had a great day at the plate, 2 for 3 at the plate. And recently, Mike cemented his role in New York Mets history with a fantastic over-the-shoulder catch up against the left field wall to preserve Johan Santana's no-hitter, the first in franchise history, on June 1st of this year. So first off, Mike, before that fateful night even happened, were you ever part of a no-hitter or a perfect game at any point?
Not defensively. You know, we've been no-hit a couple times in the minor leagues, and that's a feeling that you don't want to be. You don't want to ever be a part of. It's something that really stinks. So to do it on the pitcher side, it was a great night, and it's definitely something I won't forget.
I know that you're not supposed to talk to the pitcher at all, ever, during a no-hitter or a perfect game bid. No one goes over to the pitcher. No. But as you, of one of the position players, do you maybe talk to some of the other position players and say, hey, Johan's got a no-hitter going here?
I think we all kind of know. It's kind of one of those unspoken things that everybody's aware of, especially once you get past the 5th inning. You start to kind of be aware of the situation of the game and what's developing, and nobody wants to be the one to say something in case something bad happens. So we all keep quiet about it and just let the game play itself out.
Mm-hmm. So now, along the same lines, you made your catch in the 7th inning off a fly ball by the Cardinals catcher Yadier Molina. Now, but even so, before that happened, because of course you were forced to come out of the game, did you think that Johan maybe had no-hit stuff going that night?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you look up, it's a 6th inning. I looked up and he had walked a couple people, so there were runners. You know, sometimes nobody gets on base and you're really aware, but you look up and you realize there's no hits, and it kind of takes the game to another dimension, because we were up in the 7th inning, we were up by 5 runs, but prior to that it was like a 1-run game, I believe, and the extra cushion was nice because then you can make a play defensively without worrying about putting the game at risk.
Definitely. So, okay, now 7th inning, Molina steps to the plate. You know, you're in your ready position in left field, and boom, the ball's off the bat, coming up. What do you do?
Well, I got a good read off the bat. You know, I felt like it was a ball that was going to stay in the park, first of all. Definitely had some line drive on it that I knew it didn't have enough height to get out. And then I tried to gain some ground. I'm running back towards the fence, take my eye off the ball, try to see where I'm at on the field, make a little correction towards the end to the right. And luckily enough, I was able to reach out and make a play on the ball. And unfortunately, I kind of stumbled on the track and wasn't able to hit the wall properly.
So now, you know, you locate the ball, you see it, you glove it, but it all happens so quickly. Like, did you feel that all of a sudden the wall, you're just going to bang right into it?
Yeah, you know, when I hit the wall, it kind of knocked the wind out of me. I think that's the reason why I was down at first. There was a couple other things going on that a little sore right away, and it just took me a little while to get my breath back and kind of reassess and make sure everything was working, and then from there, I just knew I wasn't going to be able to stay in the game, and I wasn't going to do the team any good that way. So decided to come out of the game and kind of take it from there. So
then what injuries did you sustain on the play?
Fractured rib cartilage on the sternum, and then a separated collarbone, bruised ribs.
So obviously have to come out of the game. Now on the walk back to the dugout, did either Johan or any of your teammates say anything to you?
No, I don't really remember that much. I know Johan came back into the training room after the inning was over to make sure I was okay. But, you know, I was kind of caught up in that moment. I'm sure the boys, you know, were saying, hey, hang in there, good catch, and things like that. But once I got back to the training room, Johan came back, and it was actually the reason why he was late for his at-bat in the 8th, or at the bottom of the 7th.
Mm-hmm. So meanwhile, though, Johan gets through the 7th, gets through the 8th, and gets through the 9th, and throws the first no-hitter in Mets history. So now, afterwards, obviously he made history with that, first ever in franchise history. So then after the game, knowing that you made that great catch, and you know the saying, there's always a great defensive gem in either a no-hitter or a perfect game. Did he approach you afterwards, after the no-hitter?
Yeah, just, you know, he's saying it was a great night, you know. He wanted to double check, make sure I was okay. By then we figured out what was going on with me. And, you know, we spoke briefly after that. And, you know, it was such a great night for him, and he was able to go back into the clubhouse and celebrate and share it with the rest of the team, and that's where he belonged, you know. So on such a historic night like that, it's something that I know neither one of us will ever forget.
So now, especially being a Mets fan growing up yourself, you obviously never saw a no-hitter. Okay, 50 years of the franchise, and they've never had one. One of the only teams to never have a no-hitter. So making that catch and playing a significant role in that game, and being a Met fan, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, first of all, it's an honor. Just to be part of a no-hitter in general. It's something that's so rare. To be on the field and be able to play in a game like that is an honor. To do it for Johan is even better. He's one of the best teammates I've ever had. He's a real leader in the clubhouse. He's just so good with all the guys. So to be part of his special night is great. And then, to top it off as a fan of the team and as a player on the team, it's kind of incredible over the course of 50 years with so many successful pitchers we've had through New York that it's never happened. To be a part of the first one, it's something I won't ever forget. It's a great memory.
Definitely. Now, how did the rehab process go after the injury?
It went well. It just took time, and that's what the doctors said from the beginning. They were right on with their prognosis. They told me it was going to be 6 to 8 weeks. 6 was aggressive, and really at 6 weeks I was hitting and I was doing things like that. I just wasn't able to throw yet. So they weren't too far off the mark, and their guidance led me through it, and it went actually really well.
Okay, and now you're back with the big club, so how does it feel to be back on the field?
It's great. Every time you get injured, you always wonder, you want to make sure you're going to be all right, and thankfully at the end of the day, it turned out that I feel good, and I'm grateful the Mets are giving me another chance in the major leagues with them, and that's all I can ask for. So I'm just going to try to go out and help the team win.
Sounds good, Mike. Keep playing hard, keep putting wins on the board, and thanks so much for joining me.
Anytime, Tim.
And that is all for tonight. Thank you for joining us on this Labor Day. Coming up on Tuesday night, the Democratic National Convention gets underway. We'll have a preview including what to listen for throughout the convention. Until then, be sure to visit us online at currentsny.net, and we are also on Facebook and Twitter. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Liz Fablis. As the summer comes to its unofficial end, let's take in a summer scene in the Italian town of Castel Gandolfo during Pope Benedict's weekly general audience last week. Thank you for watching and have a good night.